Hey, welcome to the Baco Motorsports Power Hour, a post 4th of July show coming to you on July 5th, 2017, our 17th year of doing this show. We generally have about 4 segments on this show. If you've never seen it before, we do a first segment kind of go over national stuff, a little bit of local stuff maybe, and then have segments on the 3 local tracks in town: Bakersfield Speedway, Kern County Raceway Park, and Auto Club Famoso Raceway. We don't think anybody else around the country does anything like this, and certainly appreciate the track operators who come in and help us out. And for the first part of this show, we've got Scott Schweitzer from Bakersfield Speedway here. How you doing, Scott?
Good, Mike. Thanks for having me in early.
Yeah, no problem. You're vacationing last week, the typical Bakersfield Speedway break, which comes right around the 4th of July weekend. So good for you, and good for everybody out there who got a week off if they wanted it.
Yeah, well, I was kind of keeping an eye on Race Monitor on my phone, the app, and a lot of my local guys were racing other places. So they say they like vacations, they like the week off, but they go race.
Yeah,
it was nice for me. I watched a little racing as we talked, watched a little NASCAR, but I was invited to a couple of tracks, but I didn't step foot on any of them. I took advantage of the vacation.
Even if you're off, if you go to a track, you're kind of working, aren't you? You're looking, you're thinking.
Well, yeah, and I do enjoy that. I really do. I like going to other tracks and see what they do. You might catch something or see something. I like going to baseball games, basketball games, football games, because you see those type of things, because we're all in the entertainment business, so it's cool. But no, this vacation I didn't. I made sure I stayed away from a racetrack.
A little decompressing.
Yeah, it was good.
Which I think, as I pointed out, you weren't here. I said 17 straight weeks of running.
Yeah, it adds up.
It adds up. Yeah. You need a break. Everybody needs a break. Officials too. I mean, they're out there every week. You got your officials. They don't get a break. Some racers get a break. Yeah. They don't run every week. But your officials, no, they're out there every week.
That's a big commitment by those guys, and people don't realize that. So yeah, it's good to have a time off.
Yeah, well, that's good. And a little bit about the show. We've got the dirt car slide up here. It's about time to rotate that around. I've had that up for a while, so it's kind of the action out there at Bakersfield Speedway. And part of that is that all the local drivers we've been honoring for 2 years with the Fast Sports all-area team, and I just kind of updated that. I was gone for 19 days on vacation too as well, and came back, and thank God for the internet, because I can catch up on results from tracks when I'm not around. And it looks like there's about 25 drivers already qualified for the all-area team. Last year, I think we had right at 60, so a pretty good number of drivers. And just like to give the local drivers who are out there, your Saturday night heroes, so to speak, a little shout-out and a little recognition for the job they do all year long. And that'll be coming out sometime in December. Date hasn't been set yet, but we'll have that.
That's a nice thing.
So we had some national racing this weekend. Not a lot. Everybody takes it off except Daytona. They run on us their 4th of July, pre-4th of July, post-4th of July, whatever, around their firecracker races. And they don't run on a Sunday. They don't run on the 4th of July unless the 4th of July falls on a Saturday. But it was a doubleheader, so to speak, out there, because you had the Xfinity race, got a few laps, and got basically rained out on Friday night. And so they had to run it on Saturday, and then it got delayed a bit by rain, too, during the race. Wow. And finally got that in, and it was followed shortly by the Coke Zero 400. And here's a shot here of typical pack racing. It was, this is just a snapshot of a little bit of a look like that, like 10 rows of that.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. That's tough. I mean, Daytona, it's a cool place and a lot of history there, but man, it's tough on race teams and their pocketbooks, because obviously this next slide, they tear up some equipment.
And here it is. Kevin Harvick was fast.
Yep.
He'd been dancing around the top all race long. This is past the midway point. He was running straight as could be in a pack. I think he was on the outside, but he was third, fourth, fifth, somewhere in there, third or fifth. And tire blew.
Bam.
Then you saw the back end of the car just go right toward the wall. Catches Dale Earnhardt Jr. and a whole bunch of other cars. Big wreck. Takes out a lot of the field. No fault of his own. And he says that's his second blown tire this year. He wasn't very happy, but what do you do?
Yeah, at 190 plus miles an hour, it doesn't take much for the car to move around, and it'll collect 5, 6, 7 guys, and
5,
it's a
6,
shame.
8, 10, 12 guys, and there's
wipe out the good part of the field.
And even if you got a little damage, when you have a little damage at Daytona, it's aerodynamic damage. You're done. So, but who wasn't done? You come down to the end of the race, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and he's obviously pretty happy there. Second win of the year for him, and as you were talking about, a lot of the guys you expect to maybe be in the win. Kyle Larson, Harvick, Logano, Keselowski. I think Keselowski was still running, but a lot of the guys, Earnhardt Jr., always good.
Right.
They weren't around for the finish. It really opened the door, and Ricky was there to take it.
Yeah, it's kind of strange when you see like Brendan Gaughan and Michael McDowell and those type of names in the top 5, top 10. So it's cool for those guys. But yeah, and it was also cool. Stenhouse, I consider him a dirt guy, so I was happy to see him.
and a good deal for that because, like you said, a lot of different names. I remember watching the race and the laps are unfolding. You're going,
who are these guys?
Where are all the guys that you normally see
Right.
up here? But you know. They were in the pits and helicopter on the planes back home.
Yeah, they took off early. They got out of there.
Yeah, so there's Kevin Harvick, 33rd place finish there. The parenthesis points I forgot to update. They're not right, but we'll catch up on that. That's the bonus points. Kyle Larson still leads a point. Martin Truex, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and Brad Keselowski in the top 5 for the standings in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series.
A lot of words right there.
Yeah, a backwards way of saying it.
Yeah.
And earlier in the day, as we said, we had the Xfinity Series. Ryan Reed in the 16 car right there. Didn't do much in the stage racing, floated around and stuff. And a great shot of him right there. But toward the end of the race, they were talking, and there's Ryan Reed. If you haven't seen anything of him all day, and here he is, and he was running second or third. Well, Casey Mears, he's 34th. Ryan Reed, 31st, because guess what? The big one late in the race happened right behind Ryan Reed, of all things. I don't even remember how that one started, but there were 12, 15 cars involved in that. Casey Mears' car was totaled. Ryan was in front of it, and then they finally showed a replay. He goes on down the track, and I don't know if he lifted or moved a little to his left, but I think it was Eric Jones was behind him, and he got in the back of Ryan Reed, turned Ryan Reed right into the wall. I don't know if the caution came out and slowed, and Ryan didn't slowed, and Eric didn't slow. I'm not even sure how that one happened, but it destroyed Ryan's car, and there goes his shot. And
Doesn't
that's
take
where
much.
his wins are
Yeah.
at Daytona.
Exactly.
And here he was in line for another win,
Another good finish.
and another good finish.
Yeah.
And as you said, a lot of torn up race cars as usual.
It's a shame. It's really a shame that it doesn't take much, and it's not even your fault, and you get a good finish or your equipment destroyed.
Yeah.
So that's a shame.
As you say, Elliott Sadler leading the way in that series. William Byron went on to win that race. His second straight win, almost 3 in a row for him. So young Hendricks stable driver there doing very well. Yeah. Justin Allgaier, Brennan Poole, and Daniel Hemrick and Ryan Reed dropped down a little bit, but he's guaranteed a shot in the playoffs because he's got a win. William Bryan with 2 wins. He's leading the way now on the Xfinity guys who have, in the past have had trouble getting wins because there's so many Cup guys running the races. So
it's good to see.
See, for him, a little drag racing news here we'll go into. And I've got a picture of Chris will show this. This is a picture of Terry Chandler. And you wouldn't know her if you're just a casual fan of drag racing because she didn't own a team. She doesn't drive for a team. Her brother Johnny Gray used to drive for Don Schumacher Racing in a funny car, and then she funded that team for a while. She's got a lot of oil money back in her family days, and she's a lot of money. And her and her current husband run an aviation company. But Johnny got out of the car, and Tommy Johnson took over, and she did the Make-A-Wish Foundation car for him. Sponsored it for Make-A-Wish Foundation. No money from Make-A-Wish Foundation comes out of that car at all. It's all her money that funds that team. And then that same year, I think it was 2014, she started the Infinite Hero Foundation program for Jack Beckman. Right. All out of her own pocket, funding those 2 teams just to raise money for those 2 charities. And what a wonderful, wonderful lady this woman was. Died the 4th of July, 65 years old of brain cancer. She had found a tumor, had it removed, went through treatment, and it just got her. So cancer strikes again, and this is just a crippling blow to drag racing. I just kind of wonder what will happen to those teams. Number one, but the amount of money they've generated, the amount of awareness for those 2 charities through the goodness of Terry Chandler's heart is amazing.
I didn't know about that, and that's a shame to hear. And yeah, it's hear of people like that fund these programs out of their own pockets. So that is going to be a huge loss to drag racing and those teams
Yeah, 'cause
specifically.
nobody does that. Owners
Yeah,
don't fund pro. They
wow.
say if we don't have a sponsor, we can't
They
go
park it,
racing.
yeah.
And here she
And that's
was.
expensive to race those fuel
Yeah,
cars.
and here
Absolutely.
she was just putting her money into the
Wow.
sport, saying, "Let's go race, let's go make awareness for these." And on top of that, she did more. There was money off the sides.
Mm-hmm.
She always had a special car for the O'Reilly's Children's Hospital for the Indianapolis race every year at Indy, which is NHRA's biggie.
Wow.
They're the Daytona. She had a Raleigh Children's Hospital sponsored car there that she sponsored out of her own money, raising money for Raleigh's Children's Hospital in Indianapolis. And just can't say enough about Terry Chandler and
Wow.
the loss for the sport.
Boy, you bet. That's huge.
So we're gone for that. But NHRA's back in NASCAR's in action this weekend. NHRA's back in action. Route 66 Nationals, Joliet, Illinois. You know what Joliet, Illinois is famous for?
I don't.
Oh, come on, the Blues Brothers.
Oh, okay.
They're going to Joliet. Yeah, so Joliet, Illinois. It's the pin they got out of.
Wow.
And
Okay.
So you got a little Blues Brothers history there.
Yeah.
And Formula One's back in action, so a lot of
A
racing.
lot of racing
weekend.
this weekend, yeah.
So and Bakersfield Speedway is going to be back in action.
We're cranking back up, yep.
Yeah, and we'll come back in a little bit with the Bakersfield Speedway talk about what's happening
Okay.
in the past, what's going to be happening the rest of this year.
Sounds good.
We'll be back in a few minutes.